Hey there, I'm Jovin, one of the best Tableturf players, and welcome back to the tier list where I rank every Tableturf card. Today I'll be ranking cards from sizes 10 to 11. And before we start, I just wanna say that I will be changing the positions and maybe even some of the tiers of the cards, but I will do that at the end of the tier list. So I will be ordering everything and possibly changing some things that I have second opinions on, but that will be in the last part. So let's get started with 96 Gal. I really like these cards, they have a lot of combos. I've seen them used a lot with Jet Squelchers and Range Blaster and C+F. 96 Gals earned themselves a spot in good. Speaking of Jet Squelchers, they are up next. They're one of the integral parts of line decks and combo with a lot of, line cards. I'm also gonna put them in good. Next up is the Flinksa Rollers, and I'll also put them in good. It's pretty easy to activate their specials, and they often fit nicely in the base around the starting space. Next up we have Splatter Scopes. They are decent alternatives to Charger, especially if you don't care that much about them being thicker, and if you have some nice combos with them that don't work as well with Charger. Can you believe it, guys? I'll also put them in good. Next are the Bloblobbers. The Bloblobbers are really nice cards, you can easily activate their specials. They are very compact and a lot of base combos utilize them very well. I think they barely managed to reach really good tier. And now we have the Ballpoints. As you can see, Ballpoints are like Rapid Blasters but chunkier. They have a bit less versatility and don't work as well as special attacks, but it's also often a good thing to be bigger. So I think in a lot of cases they're actually even better than Rapid Blasters. And because of that, they definitely belong in best tier. And now we have the Dually Squelchers. They're some pretty weird cards. Again, with these cards it's pretty easy to activate them against a wall. But I mostly see the Dually Squelchers in box seats, where they can be used to special attack in places where the other cards can't. You can kind of wrap around an opponent's special space. And put them in good as well. Next up is Squid Force. It's a super common card in Double Gemini, but I honestly can't even remember the last time I saw this outside of that map. The problem is that it takes up so much space that it's kinda hard to use in combos. And the rotations aren't that different from each other, but I will say it has some potential in staircase decks, like with Forge and Heavies. I'll put it in decent. And next we have Splash Mob, easily one of the best cards in the game. Not only is it a very good card for Mask Mansion, but it also has some broken combos with Chargers and Shiver 2, and even some other cards. The combo with Chargers in particular is so easy to pull off compared to the actual size of it, because you can just put a Charger next to a wall at any point of the game, and it's very hard for the opponent to actually disrupt it. It's crazy good. Next card is Octohopper. I don't think it's terrible, but there's usually not a really good reason to play it. It's just as bad as Octotrooper in terms of getting special points. It's even harder to find a spot where it can be played. I think there is some potential with it, especially with stuff like Steel Eel. But yeah, it does not see that much use. Now we have Octosniper. Octosniper is one of those socket cards that work really well in that archetype. It's also very easy to fit an Octosniper in base like this, and there's a nice little Clashmaster Neo spot here. But again, it's pretty hard to use this very effectively. Socket decks aren't that good, so I'll put it in niche. And now we have Steel Eel. Steel Eel is insanely good because just like Chargers, it's very thin but has a lot of range. And what's crazy about Steel Eel is that it also combos super easily. You have stuff like Power Clam, but really almost any card you can put here and it will combo. Steel Eel is also super good aggressively and can really catch people off guard. Definitely deserves best tier. The next card is Scrapper. Most of the time when you run Scrapper, it's because you have Moss in your deck. It forms a really good combo. Other than that, it's very situational, but I'll put it in good. The next cards are the Splattershot Novas. Most of the time when you play this card, it's because you want the combo with Heavy Edit Splatling. And because there's only one Heavy Edit, it doesn't work with Anarchy Splattershot Nova. So I will put Vanilla Nova on good, and Anarchy Nova on decent. Next up we have the Paintbrushes. The Paintbrushes are also classics in Double Gemini. Even outside that map, it has a lot of range, and it can combo pretty good with some cards, so it's pretty versatile overall. I will put it in good. The next card is Recycle Brella. While it seems easy to activate its special, it does have a diagonal line there, which makes it hard to actually fit cards there. It also makes it hard to even fit Recycle Brella in late game positions. I see it mainly used with Ouroboros like this, or with Acht. It's a decent card. Next cards are Eliters. Just like Steel Eel and Charger, they're also thin and have a lot of range, so they can be used for a similar purpose. They're also pretty good special attacks because they're 11 size. They can also be used in socket decks, but even outside those decks they can still be very useful. One of the better cards as well, they deserve best tier. Up next is GooTubers. The GooTubers have combos with themselves, and also with the Squid Sisters and the Sloshers. You can also often fit them very nicely around the starting space. They also have some nice synergy with the Jellies. I think they should be put in very good. The next cards are Exploshers. They're most often used in based combos because they're very dense, and they have some combo potential with other cards. I'll put them in good. Next up are the Splat Brellas. I mainly see them in Gemini or with Yad, because Sorella Brella has a really nice combo with Yad. If you find some good combos for them, they're definitely not bad cards. I'm gonna put Splat Brella in niche and Sorella Brella in decent because of the combo with Yad. The next cards are Tri-Stringers. As I discussed in the previous parts, they have a lot of really nice combos, and it's easy to activate them against the wall. They can also be used in checkerboard decks and are very flexible. A huge part about Tri-Stringers is that they can be used to like wrap around your opponent's space. They also tend to even be able to be placed in the endgame, just because they fit here around the corners. They're also one of the better cards in the game to use as special attacks outside of 312s. And on top of that, they even got buffed in this patch because of the Perlina combos. They're definitely one of the better cards. Next up is Incline. Incline can activate its special very easily against the wall with stuff like Curling Bomb and Splatbrella and the Jellies. I think it's just good enough to go into really good. Next we have Shielded Octotrooper. I think Shielded Octotrooper is a bit underrated personally. It wraps around the starting space in a lot of maps, and it has an insane combo with Griller. A good card. Up next is Twintacle Octotrooper. This card can be really hard to fit and can be really hard to activate its special with because of just how weird the shape is. However, it does fit around Shiver and Fry in maps like Thunderpoint and Main Street. It can be good for base combos with those cards. But I think that's like the only good thing it has going for it, so I'll put it in niche. Oversized Octopod. It's like a slightly better version of Squid Beacon. I mentioned the Rockenberry combo in a previous video, but it also has a nice combo with Mr. Grizz. It's a decent card. Next up is Octoling. You can do some cool things with Octoling depending on the type of deck. You can play it in checkerboard, you can play it in Dapple's decks, you can play it with Slosher as well. I see it in a few different base combos. I think it deserves good tier. Next card is Power Clam. I don't even need to explain why it goes in best tier. It's just one of the best cards in the game at placing in anywhere in the map and comboing super easily. It just always has a good spot in the map. And the combos with like half of the cards in the game, it's insane. Next up is Breadcrumbs. Breadcrumbs is decent on Mask Mansion because it activates pretty easily, and it also has a nice combo with Anarchy and with Shelly and Donnie. but I still don't think that's actually enough to put it over niche. Next card is CNF. Aside of the many combos I've discussed in the previous parts, also has some nice synergy with Shiver. Pretty clunky card, but it has enough combos where I can consider it good. And finally, we have Dowser Duelist. It's a pretty new card, and I don't really know what it's gonna be used for, but I know it's very weird. It can kinda act like a tri-stringer, but it doesn't activate its own special. I can't really see a good use for it right now, so I'm gonna put it in very niche. And there we have it. I think we're over halfway there now. So join me in the next video where I talk about sizes 12 to 13. Thanks for watching, bye.